coming from 1 John. Our scripture this morning is coming from 1 John, 1 John, 1 John. And 1 John outlines some things for us to look at. But before I go into 1 John, I want us to think about this world right now and where we are and the challenges and the things that are before us. There's no doubt in our minds right now that the police force is at the forefront of all of the protests. The police are at the forefront of Black Lives Matter, and there's considerable thinking and thoughts right now about police reform. And if I were a police, and I don't profess to be a police right now, but God just put this on my heart, because work of the police is in the Bible 21 times. So there is law enforcement in the Bible. And what does God have to say about this situation? What does God have to say about police today? Can I get somebody out there just praying with me? Because I need some people to pray with me. I already got some controversial input from people just having a uniform on. But do I have anybody out there just want to stand in agreement and pray with me this morning? Let me think about this for a second. If I were a policeman, I would hate the fact that over 20 million people are protesting today. If I were a policeman, I would hate the fact that over 60 countries are protesting today. If I were a policeman, I would hate the fact that 1 out of every 1,000 African American men and boys will be shot by the police. If I were a police today, I would hate the fact that 1 in every 900 Hispanics will be shot by the police. If I were a policeman today, I would be outraged at the fact 1 in every 100,000 white men or white people will be shot by the police. If I were a police today, I would be outraged at the fact that most people who are shot by a policeman are African Americans. In the last 5 years, over 4,800 people have been killed at the hands and the gunfire of policemen. What does God have to say about this? God says, if I were a policeman, I want you to think about this. If you were a policeman, what would you be mad about? If you were a policeman, what would you change? If I were a policeman, I would be mad and outraged at the fact that one of my colleagues pushed a 70-year-old man down on the ground, and only one person, one police officer stopped to help him. And then the other police officers pushed him out the way to keep moving forward. So if I were a policeman, I would hate the fact that there is no research that shows anywhere how many of us are Christians. I read that when a police officer shoots and kills someone, a police chaplain, in order to help them overcome their actions, quote Romans 13:1, where it says that God has deputized policemen to carry out his work and give them the authority of wrath over anyone who is out of line and acting unlawfully. So, if I were a policeman today, I would hate the fact that all of this stuff is going on. But I love the fact that this is an opportunity for change. This is an opportunity for us to grow. This is an opportunity for us to have a paradigm shift. That means a whole new way of thinking about the police department. Because the police are mentioned 21 times in the Bible, and when they're mentioned in the Bible, it has nothing to do with brutality. Well, it was one incident where there's brutality. But all of the rest, they were working in the community, they were doing their jobs, they were fulfilling their obligation to withhold the law. So, if I were a policeman today, I would change the police academy to line up with the badge of John 3:11-18. 1 John 3:11-18 outlines a perfect police academy. Not just for police, but any human being on this earth who struggles with love and hate, who has hate in their heart. There is no way that you can be a Christian and say you love God and have hate. So what does that mean, Christian? That means if you are a Christian, you cannot be a part of a supremacist group. If you are a Christian, you cannot be racist. And that means for all of us. In fact, I had to check myself. So what does 1 John outlines for us to see as believers, as us to see for policemen, as we shift our thinking towards police, as we shift our training towards police? What does 1 John tell us? 1 John tells us very clearly. And this letter was written in a time that is very similar to what we're dealing with right now. Historically, this text was written when there was chaos, when there was division, when there was upheaval. And John was writing saying, cool it, love each other. Don't be like Cain. He says, don't be like, are you a Cain? He says, don't be like Cain. He said, Cain killed his brother because his brother was righteous and he was selfish. And Cain was selfish and Cain was envious of the work his brother. Cain was not of God. Cain was a religious person. Cain was not faithful, but Abel was faithful. Abel trusted God. Abel loved God. So in our new walk in the police academy, we cannot be no Cains. In fact, I will post in every police department a sign at every entrance and every exit. Are you a Cain? Are you an Abel? Do not be Cain. Cain hated. Cain murdered. I want you to be an Abel who loved God, who recognized the value of other human beings. Can I get a witness, somebody? So in this police academy, we're taught to love each other. That's what he says in verse 11. Love each other. Verse 12, he says, don't be like Cain, who was a murderer. And then he says, the world will hate you. Don't you? Anybody got any haters out there? Just wave your hands, or just wave your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care, because there's some haters out there. But how many of you know the minute and the time that you try to do right, the minute that you exercise love towards people, that's the main time people want to come up and hate. Maybe it's just me. So we see that John says, don't be like Cain. Love. He said, you're going to get haters. But he also tells us that through Jesus Christ, we died from the old stuff and we came alive in love. Love and hate cannot exist in the same place. We cannot occupy the space with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ if we have hate. He says, we are born and moved out of hate when we die to our flesh. If we want to follow this academy, when we look at this Christian police academy, when we look at this new paradigm, it requires for us to start looking at things differently. A young man by the name of Charles Holmes in 2016 said, there should be more police officers who are Christians, because when they are Christians, they do not see statistics. They do not see criminals when they see color, but they see and bear witness the life of God in every human being. I just said something. Because when police officers are trained, they are trained with targets that look like a certain character of personality. A certain color of people, when they are trained, their targets are not blonde, blue-eyed women, but they are African-American males and females. I'm talking to somebody right now. We need a change paradigm. We need a whole different way of looking at police, and we need a whole different way of how we train them. There is definitely need for police reform. And please, footnote, take this out. Write it down. I am not saying that all police are bad. I'm just saying more police should be like Christians. More police should go through the Christian Police Academy and understand what John was talking about. He says love. He says don't be envious. Don't be. And then he also says the world is going to hate you. But then he said we died from the world and we came alive in love. And he says, anyone who has hate in their heart, and I have been really disturbed over the last few months about this hate and the power of hate. Hate will make you take a gun and shoot somebody in the back that's running away from you. Hate will make you look at people in disgust just because of the color of their skin. Hate will make you do things. Hate, anybody that, the word says, anybody that hates does not love God. Anybody that hates in their heart is a murderer. That's what the word of God says. Even if you think about hurting somebody, that's a sin. So when we look at this world and we look at the stuff that's going on, all of it is based on sin. In fact, I'm thinking about the day of Pentecost. On the day of Pentecost, everybody from different colors and different nations worshiped together. There were people from all over the world worshiping God in the same language and glorifying God. And what happened and what Paul is talking about in this letter is that people got away from it. They split up. They were divided because one wanted their way. One thought they should have it their way. So they started splitting up from the church and started creating their own little churches. What would the world be like today if we stayed in the place with Pentecost when all colors, all nations, all creeds, all beliefs came together to worship God? And then he says, anyone who hates murders. But then he also says, I'm going to show you how to love. Let's look at what Jesus did. Jesus laid down his life for us. That's love. And as Christians and as believers and as people in this police academy, we need to lay down our lives. What are you talking about, preacher? Lay down our stuff and put our lives in the front of other people. Okay. I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to get somewhere right now. Right now. Praise God. Praise God. And then he tells us that love. How many of y'all, I'm going to just talk to the brothers and to the sisters. How many of y'all have heard, I love you, honey. I love you, baby. I love you. I love you. And all you hear are words. How many of you heard people say, I love God but hate their brothers? I love God but don't help their brothers. I love, the word says in the text, John is saying, if you love somebody, how can you not have pity on them? In this police academy, if you love the people that you are caring for because your job is to serve and protect, how are you going to protect somebody? You wake them up in their car because they're sleeping and 5 minutes later they end up dead. What is that? Is that love and protection? I'm just saying a few things here. If you love somebody, that means you have pity. You have empathy. How can you walk past somebody who needs something and you have it and say you love God who you have never seen and don't show love for the people that's right? That's all John is trying to say. In this academy, if police are trained to love, to care, to have compassion, to have empathy and understanding for the communities, in fact, in my paradigm shift of police, I advocate that if you patrol a community, you need to live in that community. Because then when you see people, you will know them and know who is suspect and who can do what and who's able. And then you will learn that all of us are human beings with the same basic desires and the same needs. We bleed just like you bleed. We want to be loved just like you want to be loved. We love our children just like you love your children. We want things just like you want. I'm just trying to talk to somebody. And then what we learn, he says, love is an action word. Don't just say you love life and you love the citizens and you love people and you don't even care for them. Can I get a witness, somebody? So in this police academy, which I learned most police academies are basically 75 days, a barber has to be trained in at least 150 days. And in some states, you can be trained to be a police in 35 days. And in some states, you don't even have to have a high school diploma. I just said something to y'all. How are you putting the decision of life and death in the hands of people who are not even educated? People who are not trained to love, who are not trained to care, who are not trained. But you say, go ahead, take the authority in your hands and subdue people under any circumstance. I'm trying to help you. I know this is not just about police, but this is about us as believers as well. Because when John wrote this letter, he was talking to believers. He was telling the believers, you need to love. Stop fighting. Stop being divisive. Stop being envious. Stop trying to pull. Have y'all ever seen people who leave the church and then try to pull other people out of the church? Huh? I ain't hearing nobody. Okay, all right. That's what he's saying. That's what was going on. You mad, you leave, now you're trying to take everybody else. He said, don't do that. Don't be divisive. Don't create this havoc in the ministry. Don't create this havoc in the world. Don't create this havoc. He said, don't be selfish. When you wear a mask, you wear the mask because you love the people around you. You don't want the people around you to get sick. One of my friend's son went to the gym because he felt like he had to work out. And he took COVID from the gym to his father. And now his father is in Orange Park on a ventilator fighting for his life because he wanted to go to the gym. A 30-year-old male just reported that he died. But his last few words were, I thought it was just a hoax. When you love somebody, you want to protect them. When you love somebody, you care about them. I'm gonna go a little deeper in this training. I'm gonna go a little deeper for us to understand some things that John is talking about. John is talking about if we are Christians, we need to hate the same things that God hates. What are the things that God hates? We need to put some cuffs. I brought my cuffs, y'all. We need to put some cuffs on some things. We need to lock some stuff down. Don't have any witnesses out there that just want to lock some stuff down in your life. God tells us there's things that he hates in Proverbs 16, verses 16 through 19. If you are prideful, lock it down. If you are selfish, lock it down. If you shed innocent blood, lock it down. If you are a liar, lock it down. If you create division, lock it down. If you create and sow discord, lock it down. These are the things that God hates. God hates pride, and he hates false witnesses. Stop telling lies on people. Stop lying. Stop shedding innocent blood. Stop causing division. Stop causing discord. Lock it down. Lock it down. God is speaking to us, and I've said this in ways he has a Cain or are you an Abel? Or do you have cuffs on your mind? Is your mind handcuffed today? Is your mind handcuffed in your own selfishness? Is your mind handcuffed today in your superiority? Is your hand in your mind's cuffed today to the things of this world? That's why he says the world will hate you. If you love me, the world, people who are not saved, will hate you. Are we cuffed in our minds? Are we stuck in our ways? Are we stuck in tradition? Cain was religious. He just believed in following the law. Abel was faithful and he trusted God by giving God his very best. Christianity, this walk in Christianity is a matter of the heart. And when you have a heart for God, you have a heart for other people. Can I get a witness, somebody? Can I just go a little deeper in this thing? I want us to think about just the context of what John is saying here. He is actually saying that when you love Jesus, when you love Christ, you align with him. And when you sin, when you hate, when you are selfish, you have put yourself outside of the presence of God. Because in the presence of God, you cannot hate. And there are Christians who are saved and they hate. There are Christians who are saved and they think it's right to kill. There are Christians who are saved, who are in the church, but the church is not in them. Can I get a witness, somebody? There are Christians who hate. And when you hate, and when you have malice, and when you have envy, and when you have discord, you have just took yourself out of the presence of God. How do you know that, preacher? Because the word says hate and malice cannot be in the same place with God. So here's an analogy. We all have parents. We have people that's in authority. When you were a child, your parents told you if you did something bad, go to your room. Nowadays, kids love going to their room. That is no form of punishment. But back in the day, when you wanted to get punished, they would say, go to your room. So in that same analogy, you are still a part of God, you are still a part of the family, but you are isolated from the Father. That's the exact same thing happens when we are believers and we hate and we have enemies. We are separating ourselves from the Father. We still saved, but we're not in his presence. Because in his presence, we can't. And another thing is, why do you think that people are more compassionate towards the people that they identify with? A male can identify much more with a male with the same upbringing, the same lifestyle that he had, as he would be a male that's outside of his purview and outside of his own environment. That's the same thing. When people kill, they shouldn't kill people that's like them, because they have an identity and affinity to people who are like them. People are more likely to help people that they can identify with opposed to people that they can't identify with. I'm just trying to help us get somewhere today. When we follow the orders, and I'm going to move on. When we follow the orders of James, I wish I had some praying people out there with me today. When we follow the orders of James, we become cops, not police officers. When we finish this training, when we go through this training, when we deal with all these things, we become cops. What do you mean, become cops? We learn how not to hate. We become Christians of the people. Y'all say that with me. Christians of the people. We become, y'all say it with me. I know you're out there, just say it out loud. We become Christians of the people. We become cops. And we become cops We learn